what are something that we want to do as dads together to actually help our community socialize. So I've already listed 3 different types of textures that contribute to you having a community. And if the only thing that you're doing is just going out just playing a sport, but you don't ever have those organic, transparent conversations, you're still going to have a gap that's going to be unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What's up, my brothers? This is Carlos Green with the Men's Power Connect, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Men's Power Connect, where we are here to equip, engage, and empower men in life and leadership. And as you can tell, I'm just like on 10 right now because I'm so excited about this episode that we want to share with you all. And I'm so excited to have our co-host here. So let's welcome in the house here.
Welcome in.
Yeah, welcome you in. That's the co-host.
I'm always here. What
You're
you mean?
always here,
I
Mr. Osai Harvey.
Osai Harvey. Y'all. You know, I just got What's going on, y'all? Good to see you guys again. My brother's good.
We good.
Good to be back in the building, man.
It is.
Yes, sir.
I've missed you guys, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then also Mr. Myron Head. What's up, sir?
Grace and peace, people. What's going on? Glad to be back with my brothers of the Men's Power Connect, and excited, as Carlos mentioned, about our episode today. So we just want to, well, before we get into that, again, thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for keeping up to speed with the weekly wisdoms that my brother does on Wednesdays, as well as the Friday Fives that we have. And continue to like, continue to subscribe so that you can stay in touch with what Men's Power Connect is doing. All right. So as Carlos said, excited because we recently held a focus group with probably about 8 to 10 guys, and we were talking about the covering stage. For those who have not seen the video, you can find that in the description. But the covering stage, or at least to the series, because it's about 2 or 3 messages on that. But for the covering series, we talk about from the time you find out you're going to be a father up until those toddler ages. Those are very significant bonding times, bonding years, as well as it's a critical time for the husband in supporting the wife as she is going through the pregnancy. And even if you're not married, maybe it's the mother still supporting her through that challenge as well of a pregnancy. And so we had some really great conversations with these guys, and really appreciate them for being so open, for being vulnerable to share what some of those challenges are that they were dealing with and things like that. So guys, anything from it before we get into kind of some of the key points from it? Anything you want to add to that?
I just want to say, again, thank you to all the guys who did participate, but it was such an eye-opening experience for us to hear what men were saying about some of the challenges, as well as some of the joys that they actually have of being in this particular stage. And I've been out of this stage for like 2 decades or better. It's been a long time, but to hear it, it was so refreshing, and it brought back so many memories for me as to when I was a dad in that covering stage. And I hope you guys are reminiscing about you when your son was in that covering stage.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful too, just based on your experiences with your 2 boys, to be able to contribute a lot of the things that you had, the opportunity to support your wife with, or just those bonding times, with the boys. Really helps our community too. Just because it's been over 2 decades ago, doesn't mean it's not still relevant. You know what I mean? So yeah. So even with that being said, fellas, like, those individuals, those guys that are watching now that have had that experience with their children in that covering stage, we need you all to do us a favor. Not just us, but the community of Men's Power Connect. Comment, share with us those experiences that you've had. We would love to hear from you, because we all have our individual experiences, and sometimes what is shared could really benefit another brother, even though it may have been years years away, or even recently with a recent child. It's going to be helpful for our community. So please don't be afraid to jump in the comment section. Help us out, help your brothers out that are watching. It'll definitely be beneficial.
No, it's good. And even before the show, we were kind of talking about how as we were listening to their stories, listening to some of the things they were sharing and reflecting back on when we were in that stage, there were things where we're like, oh yeah, I did some good things, but I probably could have done more, or I could have maybe done this differently, right?
Right.
And something else we also recognize is that being a father in 2025 is different than being a father in 2011, which is when I first became a father. 2008 for Osai.
You going there?
Yeah, a while ago for Carlos.
As my kids say, the 1900s.
Let's go.
Right, the
1991. That's my first son. Okay, I love it.
And I think, and especially when you think about the fact that, especially for Carlos, when he became a dad, there was no social media. We didn't have smartphones.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
All right, we were not.
Yeah.
We were not in Bedrock. We were not with the Flintstones. We did have computers back then.
They did have computers.
And we did have phones.
It was this thing called dial-up.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all know about that.
You know about the dial-up.
What?
Young people, Google it, YouTube it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but in all seriousness, there's different times of parenting, right?
Yes.
So the challenges he would have been facing different than what guys are facing now. Same thing with Osai and myself. So that's why we really see the value in, as Osai said, asking you guys to kind of share in the comments maybe some challenges or even some things that you did that you look back on and say, man, this was powerful. This was very beneficial for me to have done this with my wife to support her or done this with my son when he was a baby to really build and strengthen that bond.
And we want to collect that information because we want to share it.
Yes.
Right.
With men who are literally in the covering stage now to help them out. We have to be iron for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're going to do another focus session like this. So if that's something that you're interested in, you're a dad in this covering space, you can go to www.menspowerconnect.com. You'll have the link to the website will be in the description as well. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you'll find the contact information. Fill that out. And then in the subject line, make sure you enter covering stage focus group. That way we'll know that you're interested in being a part of that, and we'll get more information out to you. It's good.
That's good.
All right, so two big takeaways that we want to talk about from that focus session. The first one is community and the impact of community, and then the second that we're going to talk about is just the time and really the management and the prioritizing of your time. Because if you haven't become a dad yet, maybe you're on the verge of, I can tell you, when you become a dad, everything changes.
Right.
And your child becomes a big priority in your life. It's no longer being able to do things that just you want to do, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But now you've got to be more considerate. As a married person, already considerate of your wife, now you're adding another life to the party that you have to be considerate of. So those are the two areas. So fellas, let's jump into community.
Yeah.
And what that looks like, and what are we even talking about when we say, as a new father in the covering stage, a community is important?
Yeah, well, I'll start off in saying this. We hear about community all the time. I know that a lot of women also listen to our podcast, and women could agree. Women are very in tune with their community.
Yes.
I know my wife, she has different community groups, whether it be college, whether it be church, whether it be work, and they have times where they get together intentionally and hang out, whether it be over dinner or them playing games or just having conversation or whatever the case may be, they're intentional having that time together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't. as men, it's just not something that we naturally do.
Yes.
So it does take a level of intentionality to do that. And so that's why it's important that we do recognize what our communities look like.
Yeah.
If it is playing golf, great. That's good. If it's somebody that your buddy that you bowl with or whatever, but it is about marking the time to be able to create that space to come together and iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I would say about that. The importance of having, community. We've got to be more intentional as gentlemen. Yeah.
And I believe to expand on that as well. So thank you. I think that's great. To expand on that level of community, not only does it need to be intentional, but there needs to be different textures that you experience when you have community.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm talking about different
break
textures,
that down.
Yeah, right.
different textures, it's okay to have a social outlet, and you all are just going out to eat or play a sport, but then the next texture need to be, how can I be more transparent with someone I trust?
I like it.
To be able to make sure that I can process through maybe some of the challenges that I'm actually having. And then another texture could be like, what are something that we want to do as dads together to actually help our community socialize? So I've already listed 3 different types of textures that contribute to you having a community. And if the only thing that you're doing is just going out and just playing a sport, but you don't ever have those organic, transparent conversations, you're still going to have a gap that's going to be unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'll say that.
I like it. It's levels to this, is what you
It
think.
is. It really is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because we'll go out to eat, we'll hang, but then we'll also have our conversations.
Yes.
That challenges or just trying to process through some things together. And then because we all worship in the same space, there are things that we're doing that's helping our community, that are helping our church. And it's making our community richer. And we want, guys, here at Men's Power Connect, we have community even virtually.
Right.
Or all of us have men that we do life with, even when they're not in the same state. Because we are being very intentional about what we share, how we share, and creating experiences.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to my Texas brothers.
For
sure.
That's right.
I had a note here, when we're talking about community creates the space needed for shared experiences. And I think, Osai, you had talked about this earlier before the show, how when you're in a community of other like-minded individuals who are kind of walking through the same places in life that or spaces in life that you're walking through, you have those aha moments, right? So it could be being with, I know your son's done soccer for years. It could be being at a soccer game with the dad, having a conversation, and then the conversation moves into, hey, how did you deal with going back to work when you first had a child?
Right.
And there's nuggets that can be shared from a dad who's been through that space already.
Right.
Or, how did you help support your wife as she was, going through the pregnancy? Did you attend her doctor visits? Or did you, maybe not? Yeah, I was going to go, but I just was thinking, well, maybe she didn't want me there. Like, no,
she wanted
those
you there,
those are key moments because, and we don't wish this on anyone, but you never know what comes out of those visits.
Yeah.
And so for the moments, like I've shared this before in a previous episode, when I went to a doctor visit with my wife, we saw my son clap in the womb. If she comes home and tells me that, I'm like, you just excited that you're pregnant, baby. He didn't clap in the womb. But I was there. I saw it on the screen. Even the doctors was like, did he just clap? He's like, yeah. So those high moments that you get to experience with her. And then if there happens to be, God forbid, a moment where maybe something is going on that needs to be monitored or maybe cause for concern, you don't want her to experience that moment by herself.
That's right.
Right? But again, you can hear that from another brother when you're in those shared communities, having those shared experiences, because you may have someone who says, yeah, we had to go through this during the pregnancy. It was really challenging, but by God's grace, we were able to get through it. So that helps us sometimes when we look at maybe some challenge we're going through. Say, if God can do it for them, surely God can do it. He can do it for me as well.
100%.
Yeah.
Because that word also says that we overcome by the testimonies of others. And that would be helpful and so supportive if we have that.
Yes.
And if we're talking about community too, if you all don't mind, sometimes it is a challenge of like, how do you even start community then? If you're looking for community, how do you even assess who's going to be a part of your community, and do you trust them? And a lot of men just kind of wait to see who's going to start the community instead of taking the initiative to start the community. Right?
Yeah.
And so some people may not know how to facilitate a community or start doing some things, but you're always placed in circumstances or situations to where there's probably going to be other brothers that may be in your season of life as well.
Yes.
Whether it be church, your work experience or work job, where your kids go to either daycare or school, the community that you live in or the neighborhood that you live in. There's so many opportunities for community to organically happen.
Yes.
At this point, right?
Yeah. No, that's good.
And I think to your point, it's all about making the connection. Because I know for me personally, it was a lot to know that I'm experiencing a lot right now with being a first-time father, in 2008. And I know that I need other brothers to pull on, but what do I do? How do I reach out?
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest with you too. For me, pride really kept me from opening my mouth and saying, I know that my brother over here has 2 children that's gone through this stage. Why don't I reach out to him? And that's unfortunately, there's some things that I could have known or gotten some information about that could have helped me through that stage. But rather struggled because of my pride, So I think it's about identifying it and then making the step, because you never know, as you mentioned, how that connection can transpire. We're not saying that you need to go out and actually create a community,
right?
But you never know, just by conversation, how things can really develop and helping each other, in that stage.
And I love to. Men are more open than we may sometimes give them credit for. I think that they crave community. And so we may be afraid of how they're going to respond or if they're going to take it serious, whatever. But I say, go out there and do it. Connect with some guys. And I pretty much, everybody may not connect with you, but there will be some that says, man, I was just waiting for somebody. I was waiting for somebody to show up. And you could be the person showing up and could learn so much from each other.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, fellas, just, again, key things to remember. You don't have to struggle alone.
That's right.
No man is an island. We say it all the time. We need to get a T-shirt. Every man needs another man. Doesn't matter what space you're in. That's something I was thinking about, Osai, when you were talking. That struggle you talked about, that pride, that's not just in the covering stage. That's in the coaching stage. That's every stage of parenting. And then even just as a husband, there are certain things that pride will sometimes keep us from getting the help that we need. Hopefully you saw the mental health series we did, because we talked about things like that. But then lastly, on community, I would say it's important to be in community, because this is also the space where I can say, hey, can you pray for me? Because our power, if we're just relying on our power, is very limited. But when we rely on the power of God in our lives to assist each other, to strengthen one another, and we're willing to say, hey, brother, I'm struggling with this. Would you pray for me? I don't know of any brother who's going to be like, that's a serious situation. I don't really want to talk about it. No, in community, this is where you bring those things. This is where you say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Will you pray with me? Will you pray for me? And then, brothers, when you're asked to pray, please make sure you follow up. How did that situation turn out? Hey, just checking in to say, I know you shared this with me. How are you doing with this week? That is community, right? That is how we establish bonds that will go for years. Because if I every time I see that brother, I know, man, I remember when he prayed for me when I was going through a difficult thing, and how God brought me through. I grew in my faith because God allowed me to be the iron that sharpened the iron of this other brother, or to be sharpened by another brother. So make sure that we allow community to happen. Don't be afraid of community.
I like that, man. And I just say this. I love what you said about that, especially as far as the follow-up. Because, when we get together, we just have a good time.
That's it.
We may talk smack or whatever the case may be. But when we leave, that emptiness could still reside. And if there is no follow-up on the things that we've talked about, or we know, just hearing our brother, he may not have said it, but just hearing him from his soul, he's struggling right now. And if we don't follow up and say, hey, let's check in. How you doing? Everything okay? Can I do something to help? What is our friendship for?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the case for a lot of men as well. You know, just not being intentional with the follow-up. That shows me that you were listening and that you care.
And you care.
And it's as simple as a text message to them.
Exactly.
It's that
10
seconds. Man, just checking in with you to see how you're doing.
Right.
On that situation that we discussed. That's it.
That's right.
And that's part of that whole community.
Yeah.
So if I can just, because I know you're going to wrap this up, we are appealing to you all, whether you're in the covering stage or a little bit further along in your parenting phases, we are appealing to you all to write in or comment your best practices or maybe some of the challenges that you had during that stage so that we can share that with other men who are in that covering stage with their son. It's very important that we continue to be iron, sharpening iron, coming from Proverbs 27:17.
Right. Yeah, I like it, man. All right, fellas, remember, you don't have to carry the weight of fatherhood on your own. There's strength in community, and there's wisdom in learning to manage your time with intention. This season with a newborn is tough, but it's also full of moments that matter. If this episode resonated with you, drop a comment below and share your experience. How have you been building your support system? Also, let's keep the conversation going by sharing this content with another brother, because when we talk, we grow. Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode next week. And lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We're building something here, and you're a part of it. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your people, and remember, be sure to go out and encourage another brother.